Welcome back to tutorial number 1 for Computer Science 161. In this part of the tutorial, we're going to discuss how we're going to apply the programming process to implement our application. What I have on this slide is the programming process that's depicted in the Gaddis textbook that you followed in CS160. I'm not going to review all the steps, but I am going to focus on the ones that are in yellow. We're going to take an iterative approach, and in the iterative approach, we're basically going to develop a little bit of the code, and then we're going to test it. Develop a little bit more of the code and to test it. Well, even in doing that, if we look at steps 5 and 6, we're going to enter some code, we're going to compile it, and recall that in Eclipse, our Java compiler is constantly looking over our shoulder. So if we make any syntax errors as we're entering the code, it will tell us by underlining things with red squiggly marks or giving us little icons that indicate we've got an error. Those icons will be in the left margin of our editing window. So we got to correct those errors. Once all those errors are gone, once our code's complete, then we can run the program. And we can enter test data. And so we'll take a look and see if there are any runtime errors found when running the program. What kind of runtime errors are we looking for here, where some kind of runtime errors cause the program to terminate abnormally, like division by 0. Other runtime errors might be that we don't generate all the output that we're supposed to. So we got to go figure out why that happens. And in either case, we need to go back and we have to enter more code and compile it and correct it so we can run it again. When we get to the point where we're running error-free, we're generating all the output we should be, then we need to take a closer look at the results and verify that the results the program's producing are the results that we expect. Now we're going to implement our program, that is, address all the functional, graphical, and technical requirements using 5 iterations. And in each iteration, we're going to address a small subset of the requirements. Why are we going to do that? Well, it's going to make the complex programming tasks much more manageable. We have a lot of classes here. Those classes interact in sophisticated ways. It's easy to lose ourselves in the weeds of all the code we're going to have to construct. So we're going to write a little bit of code at a time and be able to really focus on getting it correct the first time. Well, if we only add a little bit of code at a time, it's going to make it easier to find bugs when we don't get the behavior that we expect. Another thing it's going to do for us, it's going to allow us to achieve partial success very early in the programming process. It's always a great feeling when the program runs and runs correctly. This helps keep us engaged and keeps us motivated. Also, with respect to your project evaluation, it'll help you get extra credit, or not extra credit, but help you get partial credit if you don't happen to complete the whole project. The other thing it does for us, it evolves our program functionality. So each iteration, the program is going to get closer and closer to the solution. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to insert console-oriented debug code so we can check our intermediate results to make sure all the events that are occurring are being handled correctly. That is, the model changes are being done correctly. And we're also going to do this to ensure that our MVC is correctly implemented. That is, that whenever an event occurs on the interface, when we enter something in a text field or we uh, click a button or a checkbox or a radio button, uh, that the correct listener is going to be invoked, and then as necessary we're going to have a correct invocation of one of our model, and then one of our view components is going to be invoked. They're going to make sure all the glue that ties together our MVC component is sticking and the pieces are glued together correctly. The validation that we're going to do is going to be against the test cases that are described in the programming assignment. So, and this is typically part of every programming assignment. The instructor will give you some test data and results. And that should give us confidence. If we can do those all successfully, it should give us confidence that our program is correct. But it's always good to make up another couple sets of test data and run those as well. Okay, we now come to the end of our discussion of the program design, the MVC architecture, how we're going to apply the programming process to evolve our solution. So the next part of the tutorial, we're going to begin with developing of our code with iteration 1.